Hey everyone, this is Jorge, and today I want to talk about hypothyroidism diet and foods. So, a lot of people have asked me, what kind of foods do I eat, and what does my diet consist of? Now, my diet has changed, over the last 20 months that I've been researching, hypothyroidism and everything about health and nutrition. My diet has been changing quite a bit. Not so much in the types of foods that I eat, but how much and when do I eat? Because there are times when I travel a lot, so I can't take a lot of my supplements and things with me. There are times when there have been times during that 20-month period since I pretty much stopped working for a while. As I know, a lot of people have done so as well because I couldn't focus. My mind was very foggy. I was just too tired to do anything. I couldn't do anything. I've known people who have gotten fired because they can't concentrate at work. And so, it's been very frustrating. And so, some of these times I've had to go on a low budget kind of diet. And so, since it all changes, what I want to do today more than anything is give you some guidelines as far as what are some good foods, what are bad foods, and what are some of the staples and things that I've done that I believe are essential and what you should probably be focusing on as far as foods. And so I believe that the number one thing that most people need when it comes to health and nutrition in general is minerals. If you give your body minerals, I've found the body to be pretty amazing, and it is for the most part able to regenerate itself. So if you have a bad thyroid, if you have a bad organ or something, it's just like when you cut yourself. If you cut yourself, your body will regenerate its skin, right? So even if you end up with a scar or something, at least your body will regenerate itself, and just like it does on your skin and on the outside, it does so on the inside. And one of the main things that it needs for that is minerals. And a lot of people are just very deficient in minerals. And so what I've done for minerals is, I have here ionic magnesium concentrate. So this has magnesium, which is one of the primary ones, and it has a lot of trace minerals, along with it. Same thing with fulvic acid. Fulvic acid I've found to be very helpful. And this is the same thing. It's fulvic minerals and plant electrolytes. Has a lot of trace minerals. It has amino acids, humic acids. There's just so much good stuff in here in this little bottle, so I recommend that. And then the other thing is, I recommend salts, either Celtic sea salt, or if you can get a Himalayan salt that looks like these red crystals. You can get the stone ground, smaller versions of those. And what I like to do with those is I soak them up in water, and you can see that it dissolves. And so now this water is filled with all those minerals. So we need close to 72 different minerals. And I think minerals, the big reason why we need minerals is because this is what really hydrates us. If you drink pure water, pure H2O distilled water, that will actually dehydrate you because it has no minerals. What's going to hydrate you is the minerals, which is another reason why I recommend green juices. Although there are some people that have to be very careful as far as green juices, because a lot of the staple greens like kale, can sometimes have effects or counteract different medicine. And so this is where everyone has to kind of tailor this to their diet. And there's I'll have a couple of resources down below to that you can check out as far as getting on the right diet. But find a way to get minerals into your body, and this is the what I call the catch-all, like the safe way to do it for everyone, whether you're taking medicine or not, and depending on whether you have, there's different types of hypothyroidism, or different reasons why one would be struggling with thyroid issues, and so this will basically apply to all. And then depending on your type, then add things like green juices and some of these other things. So that's kind of like on the side of carbohydrates. So carbohydrates, you want to make sure that you hydrate yourself. I'm going to make another video where I explain in detail the difference between a good carbohydrate and a bad carbohydrate, but just to give you something quick, a good carbohydrate is going to be something that hydrates the body, whereas a bad carbohydrate is actually going to rob your body of water and minerals, because your body will need to use up your body's own water and minerals to process whatever carbohydrates, such as like starch, processed foods, and all these other things. So that's it for that. Another good source of minerals and things is good old-fashioned chicken soup, and more than the chicken and everything else is the broth that's created when you actually cook with high quality ingredients, like a whole chicken with like bones and organs and all these other things, like the way that it used to be. We don't have as much nutrient dense food as we used to, for the most part. So that's another good source of hydration. Now, everything that I do as far as feeding the body and nutrition is all centered around making sure that my gut flora is restructured, that it is, that I'm feeding my gut flora, and more importantly, that I'm getting probiotics to, to have more probiotics than bad bacteria in your gut flora. So your ratio of good bacteria versus bad bacteria in your gut, that's what you're looking for. 80% of your immune system, which is pretty much what your health is, depends on your good bacteria. So one thing that I will recommend to everyone is to pick up some good probiotics. I personally like the Dr. Mercola probiotics, which you can find at mercola.com. These are the ones that I found are the best. They have 70 billion CFU per 2 capsule serving, and so 10 different strains, one of the best ones that I've found. And I use this because most people that I come across that have thyroid issues usually have pretty weak gut floras, and I think this is what would help them a lot with that. Now, that's carbohydrates. As far as protein, I like to get most of my protein from things like this Garden of Life, our raw protein powder. I also do a lot of seaweed, things like chlorella, spirulina, blue-green algae, and all these other proteins that are not so hard to digest. Now, every now and then I'll go ahead and eat meat, but I've been trying to wean off of meat as much as I can. And primarily is because most people that have thyroid issues, especially if you have low iodine, more than likely what happens is that you also have low stomach acid. And because you have low stomach acid, like in my case, whenever I ate anything that was protein, whether it was something easy to digest like fish, something harder like either chicken or turkey, or especially red meat, which is usually one of the hardest meats to digest, it was almost too heavy for my stomach, that I wouldn't be able to digest it, and that was basically giving my body that apple-shaped form. It's like a big beer belly that was developing, and that's mostly because again, low stomach acid makes it very difficult to digest some of these proteins. And you don't really need proteins. The body really, what it needs is amino acids. And so if you feed it a lot of meat, that's like giving your body a wall and telling the body, the body doesn't take that wall and absorb it. It needs to build its own protein. So if you give it meat or something like that, it's like giving it a wall, and then the body has to break it down into smaller bricks, and then take those bricks, which will be the amino acids, and build its own wall, its own protein. And when I do things like this, like blue-green algae and some of these other seaweeds, it's like giving your body pure amino acids. Same thing with like this fulvic acid has 18 amino acids. That's like giving your body the little bricks that it needs for it to build its own proteins. And so that's been my take on protein. So I make a lot of smoothies with this. So I'll use a scoop of this. I'll use my blue-green algae solution that I talk about in some of my other videos, and then add all the other herbs like the maca, shilajit, trivules terrestris, and everything that I can use to feed the glands. So that will be on the protein side. As far as fats, fats has been a very controversial topic, one of the hardest ones for me to understand, especially because there's so much conflicting information. But I think what I've found is like one of the best things that I've done for fats is coconut oil. And so I buy coconut oil by the gallon now because I've found it to be very helpful. And again, the big controversy here is that coconut oil is high in saturated fat. But once you read about it, if you try to understand it, you're going to be confused, and you're probably going to find more bad information than good information. But if you actually try it for yourself, you're going to find that coconut oil is actually pretty good, especially if you have thyroid issues. I use coconut oil all the time. So one of the things that I found helps is like, whenever I did research, if I look for the negative side of something, I was sure to find information on it. So rather than focusing on the negative, I went ahead and looked for the positive attributes, the positive aspects of it, and that's how I was able to find a lot of these things that most people will never take, just because there are so many conflicts of interest with other parties that don't want you to come across some of this these supplements and information. So I want to put this out. Coconut oil, avocado, same thing. Some of these saturated fats, they're different than the fats that they use for some of these studies. I mean, this is about 64% of the fats in coconut oil are medium chained fatty acids, and I don't know if that means anything to you, but basically it's very easy to for the body to absorb and digest. Other than that, I believe that some of the best foods that I found for thyroid issues have been seeds. So just about anything that is seeds, but the small kind, like the ones that you find in berries, are the ones that are the best. So like I eat a lot of goji berries, golden berries, and things like that. Now the one thing you want to be careful with, especially when it comes to seeds and nuts, is that you do want to use them, but more than likely you're not going to find good raw, and keyword here will be unpasteurized seeds or nuts. Most of these, like you can find almonds, for example, is one that I use a lot, but most almonds that you find are going to be pasteurized. So even if they're raw, they're going to be pasteurized, and you do not want to eat those pasteurized things. I'll probably make a video on what it means to have to eat pasteurized foods, but it's not something that you want to do. Same thing for like other sources of fat like butter. I know some people also turn into different kinds of cheeses and milk, which personally I wouldn't I don't do myself, but what I know that does work for some of these people is the reason why it works for them is that they are sourcing their dairy from actual grass-fed, healthy cows, and it's unpasteurized. And this is probably stuff that you're not going to find at stores, even health stores. It's usually going to be, when you are able to find a farm or something nearby. And I strongly recommend that you actually look, you go there and you're able to look at the cows, and you are able to see what they eat and how much they graze, what their source of food is. Same thing for like eggs. Like I don't buy my eggs at the store anymore. There's a guy here locally that's he sells his own eggs, and the reason why I only trust him is because I'm able to see the chickens myself. I know what they eat. I see them roaming around, and when I get the eggs, they're different colors: white, green, brownish. They still come with feathers and everything, and so that's the only way that I know that those eggs are good and healthy for you. So this is basically what I do for diet foods. And so I hope that you find this helpful. I'll try to make more videos as far as different kind of recipes and things that I've done, but I think this is essential for anyone who is struggling with thyroid issues. It's what's helped me a lot, and so I want to pass this on to anyone else struggling with the same issues. So hope you found this helpful, and if you did, then subscribe to my channel, and I look forward to seeing you in the next few videos. All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye.